We now have a drash by Ron, and these have been such an amazing addition to our services. It's just wonderful.
Okay, Shabbat Shalom. My name is Ran Katzur. Usually, the Drash discuss something about the parasha. So this week, parasha is Korach. Those who forgot, in the Korach parasha, there is a struggle between the leadership, between the old leader and people who want to replace him. And frankly, I thought that last week I heard enough discussion about leadership and who will replace whom. So I decided to talk about something that bothers me every time that I do the Amidah and maybe some other prayers. So I will talk about the thing that bother me, but before it, I want to apologize to you. I learned the Bible and the Torah in Hebrew in Israel, and I have great difficulties to say the names of the characters in English. So I will say them in Hebrew. If I can say it in English, I will say in English, and I hope that you will understand. Talking about my life, before we joined Oseh Shalom, we belonged to several, as we moved, to several conservative synagogues. And in the conservative movement, the Siddur that we used is called Sim Shalom. Now, Sim Shalom for Amidah is two versions, and I remember the page. It's page 116, so there is 116A and 116B. In 116A, it's the more traditional page, in which we only mention the three forefathers. The page 116B is a little bit more progressive, and it includes four mothers. So the Reconstruction movement was always ahead of the other movements, if you wish, and our Siddur, as you just saw, doesn't give option. In conservative movement, you could choose which page to read. We don't. We already decide to have the more progressive version. Namely, it mentioned both the three forefathers and the four mothers in the Amidah. And other, as I think Shelley just read, the bracha. Okay. So I want to talk about the four mothers. Of course, they include Sarah, Rivka, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel. Sarah was the mother of Yitzhak, of Isaac. Rebecca had two children, Jacob and Esau, Yaakov and Esav. And Yaakov had 12 children, which form the 12th tribe of Israel. Jacob's first wife, Leah, had 6 children, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Issachar, Zvulun. Rachel, the second wife, gave birth to 2 children, Joseph and Benjamin. Altogether, we have 8 children, so we are missing 4. the missing 4 children, the sons of Jacob, are really the sons of the maiden servant of Leah, servants of Leah and Rachel. Zilpah was the maid servant of Leah. She gave birth to Gad and Asher. Bilhah was the maid servant of Rachel, and she gave birth to Dan and Naphtali. But the Torah does not give Zilpah and Bilhah the credit of being foremothers. I ask myself why those 2 women are not considered foremothers as well. So, in contrast, by the way, Agar, remember the maiden servant of Sarah? Well, Agar is an interesting story. She was kicked out of the house. But in the Torah, we have 2 instances, at least, maybe more, that either angel of God or God itself talks to Agar and promises her that her son will have uncountable, and those who study mathematics, you know that uncountable is very large number, uncountable number of offspring, and it will make a great nation of her son, he promised Agar. So I ask myself why Agar got this, this credit, and those 2 women, Zilpah and Bilhah, why they are not deserve the recognition? To me, it looks like injustice or even a travesty. I hope the travesty is stronger. But travesty is maybe in the eyes of the beholder. So I want to read the story, to tell the story from the eyes of a person who lives today. Okay, Laban, the father of Rachel and Leah, he tricked, if you remember, he tricked Jacob to into marrying Leah by replacing Leah, the older daughter, with, instead of the younger daughter, Rachel, in the wedding ceremony. So Jacob married Leah, and Laban, her father, gave her a present, wedding present, a maiden servant. So Zilpah was given as a present to Leah. 7 years later, if you remember, Jacob worked 7 years for each wife. It's much more than I worked. Oh my God. Yeah, sorry. 7 years later, when Jacob married Rachel, Laban gave a similar present to his daughter Rachel upon her wedding, a maiden servant named Bilhah, perhaps to prevent sibling rivalry. Apparently it didn't work, and the 2 sisters maintained rivalry, as we will see in a few seconds. By the way, Jacob was 85 years of age when he married Rachel. That's a Jewish tradition. It's not written, I don't think that it's written in the Torah. Sometimes after the wedding, Rachel noticed that her sister at that time gave her husband 4 boys. And she didn't have any child. So to mitigate the imbalance in terms of children, she gave Jacob her maiden servant to have a child with. Well, you can guess what happened. Leah saw this trick and she said, if she does it, why don't I? So she gave her husband, she gave her own maiden servant, and each of them had 2 children, and these are 4 children that we missed before that became 4 tribes of Israel, 4 tribes of Israel. Think about it for a minute. If we look today into the understanding of, obviously there was slavery, right? They were slaves. But in addition to slavery, there was a human trafficking, because they moved those girls from Padam Aram to Canaan. There was sex trafficking, and there was rape. If an 85-year-old man sleeps with a young servant, it's not her wish, or so I think. And after all this abuse and suffering, those poor women do not even get a credit for having those children. And this bothers me when I read the Amidah. Now, I'm not the first one. I'm not that original. The Orthodox community don't give great deal of importance to women anyhow. So they had some explanation. One of them, they said that the 2, that Zilpah and Bilhah, were basically only a surrogate mother. Someone else, a little bit later, said that really the children of that really Rachel and Leah raised all the children. So including with their children, they raised the children of those 2 women, and thus they didn't act as real mothers. It didn't convince me, let's say it like this. On the other hand, the Reform movement, there is a Reform rabbi in Israel. Her name is Gila Kane. Trivia fact, she was elected to the Israeli parliament a few elections before, not now. But she basically added those 2 names to the list of the mothers, so she has 6 mothers, not 4, in her Siddur. Maybe other will follow. Personally, I would like the Reconstruction movement think about it, but we will see. So that's really what bothers me. I thank you for much to listen to me, and Shabbat Shalom to all of you.
You want to rise for the Kiddush, please?
Where is the book? The text.
Page 119.
What page is it?
119.
119.
Okay. חבריי,
L'chaim.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו מצוותיו ורצה בנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי אלינו קראת ואותנו קידשת לעבודתך, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Amen.
Too much alcohol. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Let me
You want to
no, I want to put that
left back, okay.
away. Okay, turn to page 121, and I'm glad that you're remaining standing as we do the Aleinu. לתת מילו יוצר בראשית, שנתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
שהוא נותן שמיים ויוצר ארץ, ומלכו יקרא